Hi, Grandma Debbie here. So today we are making baked meatloaf Alaska. I'm not a huge fan of meatloaf. I don't like the tomato sauce or the ketchup or whatever the heck it is that they put on top of them. And I also don't like all the breadcrumbs and things like that inside of it. It just doesn't appeal to me. So I have this I found this recipe many years ago, and I've been making it ever since. And my family enjoys it. I enjoy it. It's pretty simple to make. So we're gonna get started on making it, all right? So come along with me. Okay, so since it's just my husband and I'm kind of cutting the recipe a little bit in half. And so, because we don't want a lot of leftovers this week, so we're gonna cut it in half. So it calls for 1.5 pounds of ground beef. We're actually only going to be using 1/4 pound. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make some mashed potatoes. And I use a potato peeler. I know some people use a paring knife to do this. My mom used to be a whiz at peeling potatoes with just a knife. I never caught on how to do it without cutting myself to pieces. So I just don't do that. I use a potato peeler. But you peel your potatoes however you want. You could also probably get away with using instant potatoes if you wanted to for this recipe. They're okay. They seem to be sometimes a little runny to me, like if you have leftovers of them. They're good for one meal, and if you're in a hurry, they're great for that. But otherwise, they're okay. I wouldn't use them in a recipe, that's for sure. So, I'm just gonna peel these potatoes, and then like I said, I'm gonna make mashed potatoes with them. And while these are cooking, I will probably just jump off and then jump back on, because you don't want to watch potatoes boil. That's boring. You also probably don't want to sit here and watch me peel potatoes. So I will probably edit some of this out, because, once again, it's boring. Who wants to watch this? Not me. So this recipe, though, it uses a packet of brown gravy, and you could probably substitute it for any kind of seasonings that you want to use. It also called for instant minced onions. I don't have instant minced onions, so I'm going to be substituting with garlic powder, and it should be just fine. Sometimes I don't even add that garlic powder. Sometimes I just add the brown gravy mix, and I'm not going to be adding the full packet of the ground baked. I can't even speak. Oh my word! The ground gravy mix. Oh my gosh, the brown gravy mix. Say that 3 times fast, right? That is just crazy that I can't even speak. Oh my God. How horrible. Oh well. So, and since I'm using up the end of the bag, I'm just using the bag for the pills to go into and then I'll just throw everything away in the garbage. And you're going to make your mashed potatoes however you would normally make them. So if you use just butter or milk or sour cream, or cream cheese, however you would normally make your mashed potatoes is how you're going to make them. It's completely up to you as to how you want to make them. I'm going to add a little bit of sour cream in mine, and I will also add butter and milk when I make mine. But I will show you how I do it. We also like our mashed potatoes a little more of the rustic style. We don't like them when they're just super, like soupy almost, All right, I'm gonna throw throw these away, and I will be right back. Okay, so now we're just gonna chop these up into whatever's gonna work for making mashed potatoes. And you're just gonna cook them until they're like fork tender, or until you can mash them. And I will be seasoning the water with a little bit of salt when I go to cook these. And like I said, since there's only 2 of us, so the nice part though about this recipe is that if you have a large family, all you do is increase the ingredients just a little bit and it will work just fine for your family. It's a pretty versatile recipe. Okay, so I got these all cut up, and so now, and this is what they look like. So now I'm going to rinse them, and then I'm going to put them in my pot and add some water and get going on making the mashed potatoes. So I'm going to bring you over to the sink now. Okay, so we're going to rinse these off really good. So they're rinsed, and I'm going to dump them into the whole pot. I'm going to add some water. I'm adding cold water. And I'm adding just enough to cover the potatoes. And then I'm going to get these on the stove to start to boil. And I'm going to clean up my mess a little bit, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so I'm also going to... This didn't dry out very well. I'm going to chop up 1 green onion to mix into the mashed potatoes when they're done. So, and I'm going to chop them relatively small, so you don't have large chunks. And I'm not going to use the white part. I'm only going to use the green part. Save the white part for a different recipe. Alright, so I'm going to move these off to the side for when the mashed potatoes come out. And then I'm going to get a bowl, but I'm actually probably going to wait a minute, but I'm going to get a bowl to put the meat in, and then all the other ingredients, which is just a brown gravy mix, some onion powder, and some pepper. All right, so I will see you back in a few minutes. Okay, so the potatoes are done, and so now I'm just going to mash them. So I'm going to add some butter, and we prefer our mashed potatoes a little bit on the rustic side, so they're not always as creamy as like some people like. I'm going to add some sour cream. And I'm going to add a little bit of milk. And then if you need to add more of anything or however you do it, then please, by all means, go right on ahead. And then I'm just going to use a potato masher, because like I said, we like ours a little bit on the rustic side. I know some people use a mixer, So it's up to you as to how you want to do it. But this is just, we like ours with a little bit of lumps. I know that sounds weird, right? Because who wants lumpy mashed potatoes? But that's just the way we like our mashed potatoes, and so that's the way I usually make them, with a little bit of lumps in them. Okay, these mashed up pretty good. So this is what they look like. All right, so I'm gonna move these off to the side, and then I will come back to those. And I'm gonna grab I'm gonna put this away. I also have my oven preheating right now to 350. So I'm going to add my hamburger to a bowl. And I'm just gonna mix this with my hands. I just find that that's easier. Oh, and I forgot to add, why didn't you guys remind me? I forgot to add my chives in here, as I spill them all over the place. Okay, so let me mix those up a little bit. Get them mixed in there, so they're not all clumped together in the same spot. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I've got my hamburger. I'm gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of the garlic powder. And I'm not going to use the full packet. I'm going to use probably 3/4 of it, because I'm not using all the same, all the meat. Okay, so now I'm just going to mix this up with my hands. You don't want to mix too much, but you do want to get it mixed up pretty good. And like I've said, you can double, you can triple, you can do whatever you need to make this work for your family. Whatever works, I don't know, whatever your family size is what you're going to want to do. Okay, so I've got it mixed in, and now I'm just going to take it and I'm going to put it in my in a casserole dish. But you can also do this on a cookie sheet or whatever. And then I'm going to kind of flatten it down just a tad to make it into a loaf. And my hands are covered in gook now. Okay, so I've got it in a loaf. Not a big loaf, because once again, it's just the two of us, so we're going to probably divide this up. Okay, let me wash my hands. Okay, now I'm going to take the mashed potatoes, and I'm going to cover them all over the meatloaf. So I'm just going to take them out and just plop them in there. And you want to make sure that the whole meatloaf is covered. So kind of like you're frosting a cake is what you're going to want to do. You can smooth it out if you want, or you can leave it a little rustic looking. However you want to do this. So then we're going to put this in the oven, and it's going to bake for 55 minutes, or 50 minutes actually. And then at that point, you're going to take shredded cheese and put over the top, then you're going to put it back in the oven to continue cooking. Okay, so I've got this done, and as soon as my oven is preheated, I will get this into the oven. But this is what it looks like right now. Whoa. And then I'll get it in the oven. We're going to bake it, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do with the cheese, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've gotten it out of the oven and it's cooked. It's browned up really nice. So now I'm going to add some cheese on top. And then I'm going to put it back in the oven for a few minutes so that the cheese can melt all over the place. And it's going to be delicious. And the cheese is falling all over, and I'm just going to leave it because I don't want to burn my hands in the hot casserole dish. But if you can see what it's doing. So I'm just going to put it back in the oven for just a few minutes, just long enough for this to melt. And then when it comes out, I will show you what it looks like. All right, so hold on. Okay, so I've gotten it out of the oven. The cheese is melted all over the top. It's now nice and ooey and gooey with melted cheese, and it's brown. And so we're going to get ready to enjoy this baked meatloaf Alaska, and I want to thank you for coming along with me. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and hit the share button. And I will talk to you later. Thanks and have a great day.